Today's video, I'm reviewing the squat wedges by Double Circle Fitness. These are individual squat wedges, which means you're going to have a foot on each one of them. Now, why would you want to use these in the first place? Well, there's two reasons, couple of reasons. Number one is that for people that have problems dorsiflexing their ankle, it prevents them from squatting deep. So this is going to raise your heels, create artificial dorsiflexion of the ankle, and now you're going to be able to squat deeper. Number two reason people use this is because they want to activate more of the quads. What this does is by lifting up your heel, you're going to be able to push your knees forward a little bit more. So you're going to be able to squat deeper, and at the same time, that's going to activate more of your quad muscles. So let me talk to you about some of the specs of these over here, and then I'll be comparing this one with a single piece of squat wedge or slant board versus having an individual one for each foot. So as far as the specs goes here, this one over here has 1,000-pound weight capacity, so this thing can hold a lot of weight. The angle on the slant here is 20 degrees. Now this is made of solid metal. Now if I move it up closer here, you can see that there is a diamond-plated texture to it on the top here, and that's designed so that you can grip a little bit better on your shoe there. Now on the back here, you see that there's a handle. The bottom is completely hollow. That's what it looks like. And then over here, you have two rubber bumpers that are going to be helping you to prevent this from shifting when you're using it. Now, if you look closely, these squat wedges have a slot here, a raised slot, and the reason for that is because you can add resistance bands to the bottom of this. So you can set this on the floor, set your resistance band right below it, and now you can do squats with accommodating resistance, where as you go up, the bands are going to try to be pulling you down, so it makes the squat a little bit harder. Now over here, as far as the specs goes, from front to back, you have 13.7 inches in length. The width over here is 7 inches. And then in height, you have 4.7 inches at its highest point. So let's talk about ankle dorsiflexion. That's one of the main issues people have whenever they're trying to squat, but they can't go very low. So squat dorsiflexion means that the ankle here can't move in this direction. Now when you're having the foot planted here, the ankle itself is not going to be lifted, or the foot's not going to be lifted. Your shin bone is the one that's going to have a problem moving forward in this direction. So if you can't move your shin forward a lot, then you're going to have a problem squatting. So it'll look like this. So if I'm trying to bend forward, if this bone here can't go any further forward, I can't continue on the squat. So that's a problem with the ankle dorsiflexion restriction. Now when you put one of these wedges here into effect when your heels are raised, now that creates artificial ankle dorsiflexion. So now your shin bones can move forward a lot, allowing you to squat deeper. And if you see, your hips are closer to your ankles here, allowing you to keep a straighter spine, so that's also going to be protecting your spine. So again, knees move forward, your squat goes deeper, and then you're activating more of the quads because your knees are going in the forward direction as well. Another advantage to having individual squat wedges is the fact that you can change or alter the width of your squat stand. So if I wanted to go narrow, I could go narrow. If I wanted to go a little bit wider, I can go ahead and open them up and then get a wider squat stance. So that's one advantage versus a fixed width. Now another thing you want to look into is the fact that you can turn these out. And the reason for that is because that's going to allow you to squat a little bit deeper. There comes a point when you get to a squat where you're facing forward, where your legs are facing forward, where my thigh bone here is going to eventually hit my hip bone. So in order for me to get deeper, I have to turn or create external rotation of the hip in order to get deeper. So this is what it looks like from the side. So I start here, go here. Now my thigh bone here will eventually hit my hip, so I can't get any deeper than that. I can get a little bit more, but there's going to be a limitation there. Now when I turn my toes outward, now my thigh bones here are not going to be hitting my hips, and I can get a little bit lower than that, as you can see there. That's something that's very important with this, and that's something that individual wedges give you versus a fixed width. And when you compare individual wedges to a single squat wedge for both feet, of course you have the limitations as far as your width goes. So in this one for particular, I can only go this wide, so I can't get any wider than this. Now also, whenever I want to externally rotate my toes, then it's going to be very difficult in a narrow type of wedge like this one. And of course they do sell longer ones that you can use, but the problem with those type of wedges is whenever you want to externally rotate your hips here, what's going to happen is that my foot is now in a pronated position where the weight is distributed more to the inside of the foot. So now as I go down, my knee is going to start going in this direction versus in a single wedge. If I wanted to externally rotate the foot, I just basically turn the wedge the same direction as my foot, and as I go down, now the weight is distributed in the same plane of motion as the wedge itself. So that's one major advantage you have over this. You can change the width of your stance, and as you turn your feet to change the angle, then that way this is going to go in the same plane motion as your foot. The weight is going to be distributed the same on your foot, so you won't have any problems with your knee going inward. And of course, you can do other exercises on here as well other than squats. You can do some calf raises. Or you can just let the heel rest completely against the squat wedge there and get a good stretch on the calves. Another exercise you can do is just do some lunges. Now I'm going to show you how to make your squats more challenging by adding bands with the squat wedges. So normally when you're doing a squat, the bottom portion of the squat is the hardest. As you go up, it becomes easier. But when you add the bands to the squat wedges, then now at the top of the movement, you're getting pulled down by the band, so it makes it a bit more challenging. So I'm going to show you how to set up here. So I have my band going right below the squat wedges here. I'm going to put this right around my shoulders. Now as I go up here, the bands are trying to pull me down, and it uses accommodating resistance there. So as you go up, it becomes more challenging. So that's all there's to it. You have that slot right below the squat wedges to add these bands, and it'll make your squats a little bit more challenging. There you have it, guys. That's my review on the double circle fitness squat wedges. These things are all metal, very solid, with a 1,000-pound weight capacity. There's really not much that you can do to these to mess them up.